distribution is a method used by a country to divide the wealth and income among its population. It is essential to maintain a country's economic growth in order to harmonize the unity relationship amongst nations. The wealth here refers to the asset generated by the individual, including tangible and intangible. In Islamic system, human beings are the god deputies, given an opportunity to utilize all the resources on earth but are strictly prohibited from doing harm. Sharia already outlined the guidelines to be followed, like haram transactions are prohibited. Following Islamic principles, the wealth distribution must be fair and square. It is important to make sure the wealth does not only circulate to rich people, but also to richest poor citizens. One of the methods used is zakat. The objective of zakat is to help needy people like fakir by giving a portion of wealth to them. With this practical effort, it purifies Muslim soul. Example, in Malaysia itself, needy people could get help from Baitul Mal from time to time. Through government intervention and the limitation of wealth in Islamic system, it secures nation's welfare and equality of wealth distribution, and at the same time to attain al-falah in the world and hereafter. Meanwhile, in capitalism, the wealth distribution is understood as a legal right owned by individuals to gain properties as much as they want. There is no limitation in owning property. Due to this, the inequality of wealth distribution exists. The huge wealth gap between poor and rich people is proven in America itself, whereas the top 1% own more than the bottom 90% in their populations. Because of no government intervention, the needy people are used struggling to make a living, meanwhile the rich one enjoys their lives without fear of running out of money. Introducing a tax incentive to encourage workers to own more property by focusing their life on works, and at the same time to level up the performances and efforts of the business sector. Consequently, the business sectors put a lot of pressure on workers or the lower class to attain higher capacity of production. People tend to give up on their rest hours, working as priority rather than self-care, shown that distribution offered by capitalist system prioritize the economy rather than happiness of nations.
Next, we are going to explain on the literacy rate between capitalist economy and Islamic economy. We should know that literacy rate is an indicator to determine a nation's socio-economic development. Literacy rate determines the quality of the population in that particular nation. It decides the economic rate of the nation's economy. It acts as a major determinant for an individual to earn its living. In other words, it is a vital factor for growth and development of an economy. Educational reform in the Arab states has become a priority over the past 3 decades. Besides, over the past 3 decades, countries in the Middle East and North Africa have made great progress in improving access to education. From 1990 until 2020, Saudi Arabia government invested more on its citizens' education, and Saudi Arabia have achieved a literacy rate of 95% according to World Bank and UNESCO. Saudi Arabia's gross domestic product rapidly increased by $582.5 billion. Besides, the laborers in Saudi Arabia will earn a minimum wage of 4,000 Saudi riyal after considering their productivity of work. We can conclude that this human capital investment managed to attract a large pool of investors, increase the nation's GDP, as well as ensuring the inflow of money into the nation and also the citizens. Furthermore, for the capitalist side, I will choose Singapore as the best example. 32.3% of adults achieve level 3 literacy rate. Adults who perform at this level can comprehend and respond effectively to thick or lengthy text, as well as recognize, interpret, or evaluate one or more pieces of information. The link between literacy, proficiency, and hourly pay is stronger. in Singapore than in other ASEAN countries because Singapore labourers can work productively that they deserve high wages. Labourers in Singapore receive an average of 1,400 Singapore dollar per month for a full-time worker, while $9 per hour for part-time worker, which is quite high. Consequently, the gross domestic product or GDP in Singapore is ranked 38th in the world with 340 billion for the year 2020, even though Singapore is one of the smallest countries in the world.
Every individual has the right to make their own decisions, but the capitalist economic system and the Islamic economic system have differences in terms of freedom to consume and produce. So, what are the differences of freedom between both economic systems in terms of consuming and producing? From the point of view of capitalist economics in terms of consumptions, household or individual can consume anything that they want to maximize their satisfactions. It clearly shows that in capitalist economic countries like United States, New Zealand and Singapore that practice capitalist economic system, consumers are free to purchase any goods and services without any restrictions from the government. Next, in productions, individual or business owners can produce anything that they want based on the demand market, also without the intervention of the government. The government has no power to determine what individuals and business should produce in the market. That's why capitalist economics is very independent in decision making. Next, from the point of view of Islamic economics, in terms of consumptions, all consumers can consume and purchase anything that they want to enjoy the bounties of Allah for personal satisfaction and to serve Allah better, but it must be halal and follow the Sharia compliance. For example, consumers are prohibited from buying things that can harm their health, such as alcohol and drugs. Next, in terms of productions, business owners can decide how they want to run and control their productions in a halal way and follow the Sharia guidelines. When it comes to produce something in terms of what, how and for whom to produce, Muslims should refer the Quran and the Hadith first to make sure that it meets the Sharia compliance. For example, in Islamic economics, we need to know that every business owner they need to avoid fake and dubious transactions, or known as borrow.
So how are socio-economic status in both capitalism and Islamic economic system treated? In general, Islamic economic studies teaches the principles of fair Islam for all humankind regardless of socio-economic status, in order to achieve welfare and progress according to Sharia. Among them, it forbids usury because it only accumulates excessive amount without regard to the welfare of society. However, interest can be maintained economically as a credit with compassionate charge as it benefits the public, like the concept of zakat. And already the Quran and Sunnah give clear instruction as the free trade is encouraged, which beneficial and halal communities are allowed. Also, and which is riba is prohibited, like in Surah Al-Baqarah verse 275. In contrast, the capitalist economic system is unfair with a biased socio-economic status as they allow economic transaction through negative activities, like gambling. In general, the system of capitalism can be labeled as a dollar dictatorship. There can be observed large gap in negative inequalities in communities such as physical health, mental health, education, child well-being, social mobility, and community life. The capitalist economic system also exploits cultural and economic systems, since in capitalism has full freedom of economic private ownership. There is no denying that there is hard gap between rich and poor in many capitalist countries, which is judged more to the levels of the individual income gap and economic power. For them, money is the determinant of everyone's life. Because of that, all these capitalist citizens are always trying to exploit the right of others economically to accumulate properties as many as possible.
What is the life expectancy under capitalism and the economic Islamic system? The average life of a group of humans living in a country is a good indicator of how well they are developed both socially and economically. High life expectancy leads to faster economic growth. One of the reasons that explain this positive relationship is because higher life expectancy leads to higher GDP per capita. A dollar increase in GDP per capita will increase life expectancy by 33 days. The most well-known country which practices capitalism is none other than the United States of America. The advent of technology and huge amounts of investments in healthcare has contributed to the country succeeding in maintaining the increase of their citizens' life expectancy throughout the years. In the past 71 years, the country has seen increasing life expectancy from 68.14 years in the year 1950 to 78.99 years in 2021. However, in a year-to-year basis, the country is actually had decline in recent years. In 2020, the life expectancy of 77.3 is a decrease by 1.5 years from the year before, with 78.8 years reaching its lowest point since 2003. This is due to the country's lack in centralized healthcare system. Despite being one of the leaders in healthcare, the cost of it is very high. Americans pay almost 4 times as much for pharmaceutical drugs than any other industrialized country. To put matters worse, hospitals are basically profit centers. Hospitals' care amounts to 33% of the country's healthcare cost. Life expectancy under the Islamic economic system cannot be gauged in modern times because we do not have a country which openly practices it. Our best representation is Malaysia, as a majority Muslim country that is a leading nation in Islamic finance and has Islamic as the official religion. The country has seen an increase in life expectancy in both long-term and short-term. In 2021, life expectancy is 76.36, a significant increase from 72.2 years in the year 2000, but only a minor increase from 2015. Lack of development in the healthcare system is to blame, as the nation lacks infrastructure and research to achieve world-class healthcare. Fortunately, Malaysia is able to cater to both high and low-income households, as the nation provides both highly subsidized public healthcare and fast and efficient private healthcare. The mixture of these two ensure that every citizen is able to receive a reasonable amount of treatment regardless of their status or level of income.